Hi, I'm Dennis Rodkin. I write the Deal Estate column for Chicago Magazine, and this is DEQs, where I answer readers' real estate questions. Ellen in Old Irving Park asks, our house is up for sale and a buyer put in a contract. We were excited and then the contract dried up. We've had a couple of friends say the same thing happened to them. Why is this happening? Ellen, without a lot of specifics, I can't tell you why it's happening to you and your friends, but I can say that this is happening a lot. There was a recent study by Paul Diggle at Capital Economics that said that about 15% of home sale contracts aren't going through. That's up from where it would have been in the pre-bust years, down around 10% or even lower than that. That's a national figure, and local real estate agents are telling me almost every week that it's happening. One agent said to me recently that a contract isn't over until it's over. There are a lot of things that stop contracts from reaching completion. I just want to talk about a couple of them. One is the lack of financing. It's hard to get a mortgage these days, as everyone knows. 53% of mortgages in August went to people with credit scores of 740 or higher. A decade ago, that was down at about 42% of people getting mortgages had credit scores that high. In May, the average credit score of somebody who was denied a mortgage was 669. That's a good credit score, and these people were being denied. Another reason that contracts don't go through is the lack of appraisal. Remember that even though the buyer and the seller agree to a good price, without an appraisal to back it up, the bank isn't going to agree to that, and then the contract falls apart. That's one good reason that a seller should carefully listen to what the market is selling at now and possibly even get an appraisal before marketing the house. Another reason that contracts don't go through is unexpected things happen. A buyer loses a job or loses confidence in the price and pulls out of the contract before it goes through. And then there's always the inspection issues. Those have always been around. The buyer finds something at inspection that sends up a red flag, like leakage in the basement or an excessively aged roof. The increase in failed contracts is almost certainly from those first two factors, loan denial and low appraisals. And the villain in both cases there is this very tight lending climate we're in. Banks are being super tight on lending, expecting a 20% down payment, a very high credit score, and dotting every I and crossing every T. The National Association of Realtors economists recently estimated that if banks would loosen their credit standards to a certain degree, then that would spur at least 500,000 more home sales. Now, only a small portion of those would be the ones we're talking about where contracts would fall apart, but there is a factor there. Banks are sticking to that 20% down and the high credit scores, and they may get tighter. Now there are new rules in the works that may require buyers to do an exhaustive review of a condo community's finances in order to qualify for a mortgage, which would make it even tighter. So what can you do to prevent contract failures? One is you can make sure that you are pricing your home to today's market. That's one of the reasons I mentioned before, getting it appraised before you put it on the market, and then price it to that appraisal, not to what you'd like the price to be, hard as that may be to do. You should also make sure that buyers who come in are pre-qualified or pre-approved, and you should hope that the banks loosen up a little bit. Thanks for your question. Send me more at dennis@rodkin.com.